Hello there guys, what is going on? SonOfChelsea back here again. Rational perspective on Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 2. Chelsea make it 5 wins in a row under Graham Potter. That's now 6 unbeaten. I believe that's 4 Premier League wins in a row. The first time we've done that since I believe back in March. I was even looking at a stat that it's the first time we've won games consecutively in all competitions, keeping clean sheets since Antonio Conte's time in charge. So that's how long it's been. And listen, it's the result today, and it's about 2 performances, I think, in particular that we can look at and go, brilliant. The rest of it, not very good, quite stressful. I think Chelsea walk away with this game very fortunate, particularly in the first half. I don't think you can seriously say the second half is anywhere close to that. There were definitely moments where Kepa again had to be called upon, particularly from set pieces, which is one of his weaker areas. But in that first half, I mean, looking at the XG, it was ridiculous. So Potter, I think he's going to have to work on that maybe at times, putting players in roles. This was a conversation we had under Thomas Tuchel, at times when maybe it's not necessary, really rotating the team. We'll get into that, but also the positives of today. I mean, Chelsea getting through a game like this and just keeping that upwards momentum, even though I don't think any of us, if we're being really honest, looked at that game and went, Chelsea were incredible. I think they got better as the game went on, and I think some of the subs that Potter made did make a difference, and hopefully will sort of inform what's going to happen on Wednesday against Brentford, because you can't perform like that as we did in the first half, because 9 times out of 10 you're not getting away with it. And for not only goalkeeping heroics but maybe a bit of fortune as well, Chelsea got away with it today. Before we do get into the result, my feelings on the lineup and all that good stuff, when I ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and why not hit the like button? It's kind of the rule around here. Hit the like button, helps new people find the channel, and also because Chelsea are doing well, hit that like button. But let's get into the team. So 3 changes from the one that faced Milan. So we had Marc Cucurella coming into the back 3, Loftus-Cheek starting in the double 6, and Kai Havertz, who started a lot of Premier League games recently. And a lot of the other players we kind of expected. You expected to see Chalobah keep his place, Thiago Silva, Mason Mount, Mateo Kovacic, Ben Chilwell, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Raheem Sterling. And it looked like a 3-5-2, or at least that's how it started. I think that was the intention. And to sort of counteract losing Reece James to injury, instead of playing Cesar Azpilicueta at right wing back, who I think had a really good performance, admittedly, like last week, we had Raheem Sterling kind of starting there. That experiment did not last long, and also I think it was the first time we've seen Ben Chilwell and Marc Cucurella start a game together. So there were some interesting experiments, as we kind of already expect with Graham Potter. But the first half, I mean, it didn't really help the experiment. It did not go well at all. We have, Tyrone Mings in the first 10 minutes makes a mistake. Mason Mount is gifted his first goal of the season. He's starting to create. He's starting to influence games. He wants that goal. He was gifted it in the best way possible. But then, of course, he scored one of all his own making later on. And you just think from that point, with the way the Villa crowd is, you feel the tension within that ground, and also just Chelsea recently being very confident in front of goal and looking good moving forward. The goal would change things. It would settle it down, because actually Villa had started the game very well. It felt like they were on top of Kepa. They were creating opportunities, or at least they were really trying to intimidate Chelsea early on and really try and be physical and direct and get the crowd on side. The game didn't change, and I think that's always a worry if you score a goal, which is like the biggest thing in football, and just nothing in the game really changes. I mean, that's a concern for me. It was a variety of things. I don't think the Sterling experiment, particularly on the right, worked today. It was kind of the worst of both worlds. And in the end, he played about 3 roles during the course of the game. The back 3 on that right side are really isolated. It became kind of 3v3 at times during that first half, which is really causing Chelsea problems. I always think it's a concern in your team and the structure of your team when the number of times your back 3 or back 4 are just backpedaling, and running back, and it just feels so quick and easy for your opponent to just put them under pressure again. Even when Chelsea were clearing the ball, our inability to hold it was really concerning. And there were some individual displays in that first half that were just really poor. I think that Marc Cucurella, who got subbed at halftime for Kalidou Koulibaly, had his worst performance in a Chelsea shirt. Passing wise has kind of been one of his best attributes, but I think his mind was maybe frazzled early on. He made a few mistakes. There was one time where it was like between him and Silva, very comfortable, and he tried to like dive header it. That could have gone disastrously. And I think by the time it got close to half time and he made so many mistakes, and Leon Bailey in particular, I think was a very, very good player today, particularly in the first half for Aston Villa, nearly set up a goal for Danny Ings. He looks like a really good player coming from the Bundesliga, and was a threat. He really was down that right side, and I don't think the connection and chemistry between Chilwell and Cucurella was quite what Potter wanted. I don't think we ever got to see them move forward enough to really make a judgment on how that combination can work, having both of them in the team. It just didn't work, and we were overwhelmed, and I think a majority of players underperformed in that first half as well. I think that was the problem too, and the XG says as much. And Liam Toomey tweeted this: expected Kepa's over expected goals, because Kepa Arrizabalaga really is the hero for Chelsea today. There's kind of no way around it. He was exceptional in that first half, and just across the game, it's his fourth clean sheet in a row. He is now firmly the number one. It's staggering to think about where he was in 2020 and where he is now, and he is earning that shirt when he makes saves like that. I mean, the few he made from the likes of Danny Ings, the one that hit onto the post, just wonderful stuff. There was another one from Ings, and of course the best one of the first half was the header that should have gone in. Somehow he saves it, tips it over the bar. It reminded me a little bit of Petr Cech's save against Andy Carroll in 2012. It was that good, and you can just see his stature growing, his chest kind of puffing out. It's such a I'm not a goalkeeping expert, and sometimes I try not to overanalyze goalkeepers because I think it's such a specialist position, and people who are not goalkeepers tend to overanalyze them. But you can just feel, you can see the confidence, you can see the assertiveness. He is not always staying on his line at corners, which is still a concern because of his height, but in the main, he's doing things well when he's being covered from his defence, and it's quite clear that trust that broke down so severely between himself and his defence in 1920 is there again with this new kind of Chelsea defence, and it's working for him, and I think he deserves all the praise, because it's just nice to see, right? We don't need to revise history about Kepa Arrizabalaga. We don't need to go back and say, actually, all of us were wrong about him. He had a bad time. He was, statistically, he was in a really bad place at Chelsea. And, it was right that Chelsea invested in Edouard Mendy. But he has recovered. He has quite clearly learnt from that. He's tried to build as a keeper, and he's got his opportunity, and he's now taken it. And it's now on Edouard Mendy to recover himself and reclaim that position when he gets the opportunity. But as I say, that first half, there's nothing real positive to say about it other than the Mason Mount goal, which in itself is a gift from Tyrone Mings. It really is. So then at half-time, you can't allow that to continue. Chelsea were just getting overwhelmed in kind of every aspect of the game. Physically, I think the way, the movement, tactically, the structure of the team just looked wrong, and we were going to end up conceding a goal. Brings on Cesar Azpilicueta and Koulibaly for Havertz and Cucurella. I think in the end, those subs did make a difference. There were still pressurised moments when mainly it was Villa getting corners, and I think Chelsea in the main, who were quite poor at the start of the season defending corners, I think were good at them today. And then you're kind of waiting to see if Chelsea can make something and really put the game to bed, because it did feel like it was going to be a low scoring game. And we get this free kick that is well won really by, I think, Chilwell and Mount connected well, tight area. Mount wins the free kick. Tyrone Mings is involved again. May steps up and curls this. I mean, it was staggering to watch it on TV. My reaction was just literally scream, "Oh my God," because it was, you can blame the goalkeeper, you can say his positioning isn't that good, but the swerve on that ball, the precision of it is just immaculate. And he has scored some good ones for Chelsea, he really has. I think that's the first free kick we've scored since Marcos Alonso at the start of last season, so it's been a long time. And aged 23 and 279 days, Mount is the second youngest player to score 25 Premier League goals for Chelsea after Eden Hazard. And I believe now he's also tied with Frank for goals after a certain number of appearances. I may put the tweet up on screen now. Massive week for Mount, massive few weeks for Mount. He's started every game. Both him and Kepa are deserving to start every single game under Graham Potter. I mean, at some point, Mace is going to have a rest. He's had that fire scan. He started today, but he's an inspiration. He really is, and it's great to see him responding, kicking on, proving that he once again is an essential player for Chelsea. And when you are struggling, when the game looks like it's the performance just isn't clicking right, and even though there were some improvements with the subs that came on, you need moments of inspiration, and that has been a critique of Chelsea, that we haven't had enough players who can step up and provide those against the run of play, and that's what Mount did, and it really gave a cushion. I just want to give some shouts to the subs that came on. I think Koulibaly had a decent second half. I think Dave, just had that durability, and the right side became very easy for Chelsea to defend in that second compared to the first. There just wasn't the same energy. And I also felt Jorginho and Conor Gallagher were two good subs as well. I think Gallagher just doesn't stop running, and he was adding being a bit of a nuisance with himself. And Jorginho, I just think it was a really shrewd performance, passing side to side and in that control that we like from Georgie, and also winning fouls. And I also thought Loftus-Cheek, out of the starters, was one of the better performers too, and it really solidifies his place in the central midfield. Again, he was asked to play kind of shift over to the right wing back position when it wasn't going well in the first half, and then once the subs were made at half time, he moved into midfield again. And again, there was a really nice outside the foot pass to Raheem Sterling that probably it would have been nice if that could have turned into something more. He was picking up some really nice spaces that were just really carving open Aston Villa in that second half, and also just relieving the pressure. So again, Ruben, I think I answered a question about him in a Q&A recently. It's wonderful he just has a Chelsea career, but he is now a first team player, and with Kante not returning anytime soon, with the players we currently have, with the form of players, you feel that he is going to be one of those starters, and it's great. It's really great to see. So Ruben, I think, deserves credit as well. Those are my thoughts. It's another 3 points. Chelsea remain in the top 4. Just keep winning. Just keep that momentum. And listen, we ain't going to be watching this game back other than the Kepa save in the first half from Danny Ings, or of course the Mount stunning free kick. It was not a brilliant performance. I don't think we should be over egging it, and I keep on saying this, there are going to be sterner tests, and to be honest, one of those tests were today, and Chelsea got a bit lucky, but it was down to amazing goalkeeping from Kepa Arrizabalaga, and also a stunning free kick and inspirational performance from Mason Mount. So thank you guys for watching. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again very soon. All the best.